Hello, and welcome to this edition of People in Transition. I'm your host, Bob Gerst. I've been hiring, firing, and mentoring executives, frontline employees, interns, and job seekers in companies around the world through a host of transitions, some difficult, but most very good. I work with people in Hong Kong, India, Australia, and across the United States. What sets them apart? A lot, but there's more they have in common. And one of those commonalities is transition is a part of life. This experience has given me a bird's eye view on a variety of trends, economies, industry disruptors, and transitions that are big and small. It also brought me into contact with the thought leaders and decision makers you need to meet, the people who can make the difference that matters to you right now. Imagine knowing exactly what to do next and how to know it's time to make your big change. The insight track you're going to access during our future episodes is better than a crystal ball. It's the exact information you need to take that next step. Whether you're a new grad applying for your first professional job, someone looking to transition your work experience into a promotion, launching your own company, or maybe even starting to plan your retirement, you're in transition, and this series is for you. We all know transition can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. And it's even fun when you have VIP access to the future you want. Are you tired of the uncertainty of being passed up? We'll share with you the tools and skills that can take your dreams to the front of the line. So, if change is on your horizon, or maybe just the thought of change, you won't want to miss this discussion. It could be the exact edge you need to turn transition into an amazing opportunity. Sabrina Runbeck, thank you so much for joining us today on People in Transition. We're so pleased that we have you with us.
Yeah, thanks, Bob, for having me and for everyone who's listening in.
Sabrina, everyone may not know you as well as I do in the research that I've done on your background. Why don't you take a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I want to take you back a little bit. About 4.5 years ago, it was barely 8 o'clock in the morning, and I just feel exhausted because I barely slept the night before. I was having a fever of 101 degrees. My body felt like it just weak. Everything was moving super slowly, and my hands were cramping. I was standing there in front of the patient while my hands are inside of his open chest, attempting with all that I had just to get through this open heart surgery I was performing with my attending. But that's not even the problem. The problem was I knew that I'm not going to get another break for at least another 4 to 5 hours. And then the beeper that was paging me all night just went off again. Well, hearing that beeping noise just made my frustration and exhaustion that much harder to hide from other people. Fortunately, one of the nurses took pity on me and kept passing Dayquils and cough drop under my mask to keep me going. I was so grateful for her kindness. But unfortunately, when I woke up the next morning, I was covered in cold sweat. I can barely move. I remember that's the only time that I ever called out sick because I really couldn't do it. But my boss, when I told him on the phone, his answer was, "Hey, Sabrina, how come you're just telling me this now? Don't make a habit out of it." I was like, whoa, okay. Was I inconveniencing him now? And I just felt this significant emotion of frustration because any high demanding career, we always treat our clients, our patients with compassion, advocate for their need, but we're not treating our colleagues and ourselves with that same value. I was someone who always thought that I'm ambitious, I'm driven, and that equals to using, yes, I got this. That's my default. And I will pick up the new chart to read another patient's case for consultation or do another procedure, get called last minute to run over to see a patient. But I was still seen as not doing enough. Then I start questioning myself. am I ever going to be enough? I believe that these are truly distractions that we have. By saying yes to a lot of things that do not align with our value, then we couldn't deliver with high quality result and start feeling resentment toward the things that we do. Because these distracting yeses are taking away our precious time, energy, and sanity. We truly all work so hard to get to where we are right now, and we didn't do it just simply drop everything and make that huge change. And if and when we make a change because we truly thought about it, and we can transfer our skills to move on to the next phase of our life. So I have to face the fact that what I was doing was not okay. But I believe with the right system, as young, ambitious professionals can be both powerhouses in our careers and passionate people in life. And that's the moment that I realized I had to go back to my roots in neuroscience and public health. I dug out my own thesis from 10 years ago on self-care and self-efficacy and spent thousands of dollars on these self-led programs because, my pride thought I can just do anything, right, by myself. I'll just buy some program and learn it. And realize that without a one-on-one coach and someone who really can pick out my blind spot, I wasn't progressing. After years of struggle, I finally coached myself out of that constant exhaustion and able to create a system that I can turn my life around. So now I am happy to still be able to do both. The career I built so long in surgical setting as a surgical PA, and also empowering other professionals, especially in their 30s with demanding careers, to have a life full of heck yes. So they can truly wake up feeling excited and rise up as leaders in their fields and feel passionate and powerful again.
Let me ask you just a couple of kind of follow-up questions from that. You said you asked yourself in that feverish state, will I ever be enough? How did you come to what that question meant and then answer it?
I felt from how I was growing up, I never learned self-forgiveness and value what I already accomplished. It's always driven for the next thing. I think this is a very typical sabotager, as one of my coach and mentor, who's a professor in Stanford, said, it's a typical sabotager as a high achiever because we tied our identity to our next achievement. And we're now recognizing all the miles we have walked to even get to where we are right now. And even we can accomplish 10%, yes, it's a little 10%, it still made a dent, right? And so when we truly accomplish that 80%, that need to be celebrated, even though we haven't got to that 100% yet. So at that moment, I thought, am I stuck in a place where people would tell me, well, you only have one choice. This is the best you can be, or you switch. And it does take courage to face that the environment is what's not working, not that what I'm doing is not working.
Sabrina, a friend of yours, let's say, calls you up and they tell you that they have lost their job because their company has gone out of business because of the COVID crisis. What's the 3 action steps that you would pass on to them that they should do right now?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Number 1, I will help them with their mental fitness, rebuild that mental immunity, because losing a career, losing a business, it can take such a toll on their confidence, right? It's not just losing the financial support, but it's actually impact every single aspect of our life. So we can look at that loss as a gain as well. And what the gain was, all the experience we have built to make her who she is right now, and all the skills that she has developed. That means she can build one business, she can build the next one, and bring back our positive intelligence so we no longer feel like we're failure just because the environment we're in. And second, I would say we need to redefine our motivation, our desire. So what does it mean to be her, like as a person. What does she value right now? How does she want to show up? Who does she want to show up for? How can she elevate not only herself, but those around her? What is that end picture that she can imagining, not just a means goal, right? A lot of time people make these means goal. Oh, if I can just build this business, then I can relax. If I can just get more clients to work with me, then I feel like an authoritative figure. No, it's about this process that we're going through. But then what's the bigger end picture? Once we have that set, then we can create this internal compass to guide us to that end result. So being super clear about the new purpose, the next thing that she's going to build is very crucial. And then we won't get bogged down by the mundane busy work and we truly can perform. The third thing would be we need to have her also have a foundation of continuously resetting her energy resource, what I call having micro vacations throughout the day. Typically, all of us think we can do 10,000 things in a day, right? We think we can do everything. Even for those who have time blocks and they end up realizing they couldn't finish in 1 hour, and let me just extend my time block into an hour and a half. But when we do that, we backtrack everything else. Then you start going into your bedtime. You don't go to bed and at your regular hour anymore, right? Then you don't feel refreshed when you wake up. So everything is so intertwined. But when we have these intentional breaks where I teach people to do even just 2 minutes, you can calm your mind and refocus and feel more energized again. And there are hundreds of different ways to do this, right? Because we incorporate many, many different modalities from physiology, from breathing, from meditation, and from all 5 sensations to help people to do that. So then you can actually spend less time to get more done and be very intentional about your day.
Great coaching. And I love those little mini vacations throughout the day. That thought's going to stick with me for a long time. So thank you, Sabrina, for that. I found you through LinkedIn, so I know how active you are on social media. How do you coach someone to use social media to their benefit in a transition period?
Another great question. I believe social media can be distracting or can be used to your benefit. Really just like anything in life, right? So using social media, especially LinkedIn, you can search specifically for industry and people can connect to the hiring managers or look up the similar title that you potentially want to have in that industry and see the description of the people who had that position before, right? When we can connect with those people and maybe get their insight about what that job was or another position that's similar to get a true feeling of this position, then we're also not just diving into something blind. A lot of time when we go on interview, it's also hard to ask questions because despite of how much preparation you have about a team or have a career, you're not with them. And when we can actually did our homework by talking to specific people beforehand, you have a more clear vision. So LinkedIn could be a great way to networking with people. When you do publish your little articles and post on that day, it really shows other people what you're thinking, what you care about, or share certain links to communicate as well.
You've talked about LinkedIn helping in terms of that keeping people connected. How would you coach someone who's not good at networking to be better at it and to be more comfortable with it?
Yeah, so networking, a lot of have to do with confidence. And confidence to me really defined in 3 ways. And I learned this from one of my coach, Brandon Burchard. Confidence are 3 levels. They have personal confidence, you have a skills of confidence, which is what most people think, right? Like if I know something, I'm an expert in that specific field. And then the third way is social confidence. And most people don't even think about that. Why social confidence means you are comfortable with who you are as a person and you're not afraid to ask questions. And when you ask for help, ask these questions, you can get to where you need to be a lot faster because other people with the experience that you need can answer for you and help you to get it done, probably hours, days, versus you trying to learn it yourself. That will take probably weeks and months. And so that is a level of confidence to take down our ego and just be okay to ask right questions and be open to receive other people's help. And the first thing I mentioned is confidence in yourself. Really, that just means self love, trusting who you are, trusting that you are already have the inner ability to do, but you might not have found your inner genius. That might need some deeper self work with other people or with yourself to bring that out. And then you can always grow your skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're okay with being a learner for life, and then life is actually a lot more interesting. So when we're in social networking area, we're confident with who we are as a person. Then when we speak about what we love to do, our past experience, it brings into a different way of presenting yourself with your tonality, and you have better eye contact, and your body language is different, right? You're sitting upright, you're standing with shoulder down. That's how confidence elaborate with physiology. And when you trust your own ability to do that type of skill, of course you can probably talk about it for hours despite of not being paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the social confidence, when you're comfortable in the situation where other people brought up a subject you have never heard of, I'm comfortable to say, yeah, actually, I don't know much about it. Do you mind educating me, or just do you mind elaborating on it?
Good coaching on that. Thank you. Sabrina, you talk about 3 steps to wake up excited about your career. I've heard you speak up about that before. Can you share that with our listeners?
Yes, it's very much mirrored to what I shared earlier on those 3 steps when you transition as well. Because we as a person need to build these foundations of how we think about ourselves and how we wanted to grow and how we can produce more for others. And that all start with have a strength, having mental immunity. And why is that? Because just like physical immunity can fight off diseases, you need a mental immunity to create joy, satisfaction, so we can keep marching forward. No matter what we have in life, how strong our mission is, there's always going to be some kind of unpredictable roadblocks, right? From our internal sabotager or the external naysayers. Can't be prevented, but we can build is this strength. So something I suggest people to do is write down a few things that you truly feel proud about yourself, right? Whether you're a good listener, you're a good problem solver, you're strong, you believe you can solve everything, you're very open-minded, whatever that is, write it down. And each morning, look at them, take out one sentence, say it out loud in front of a mirror, and truly believe in that sentence. So some people say, Sabrina, isn't that a little self-conceived? I'm just saying this out loud to myself. But this is really just affirming your strength. And when you do that and you believe in this message, you give yourself that power and you start your morning on a good note. And then secondly, yes, we do have to be really clear about our intention because we have these sabotagers, these judgment controlling, right? We feel like we have to be very logical to understand our decision making so we don't make a mistake. But if we're too critical on ourselves, then we don't act. So when we are understanding our own decision, our own desire, then we won't be bogged down by the things that do not serve us, right? Then, so people might think, oh, I'm just too busy. I need more time to get everything done. But I'm telling you, you should be thinking you can make less time for busy work and spend more time focusing on things that lights you up, right? One of my client, Marty, she initially came to me because she doesn't want it to be seen as someone who's married to her job. I think a lot of people with high demanding careers like that, and then they start feeling guilty about, oh, I haven't got to my self care, or I haven't gone to the gym, I haven't called my parents or my best friend yet. She asked me to work with her after she saw me spoke on a summit, and just to help her stop doing all this busy work so she can do more things that she loved to do, which is she wanted to play cello for the local orchestra. And I asked her, the first thing is, how would you feel once you're on that stage? And she said to me that, I will be feeling so proud. I'm a creative person. And I said, great, keep that in mind. How can we continue that thought process going forward? It's by tying back to her value. She found one of the most helpful thing that our time together was working on this alignment worksheet that I built for her. So then she can now predetermine her core decision making and based on the value that's truly important to her. So when the tasks that do not match who she is or how she wanted to show up as a person, she can now confidently just say no and eliminate them without having the fear of missing out or the feeling of that she didn't do enough. Of course, if any listeners who wanted the worksheet, feel free to contact me on social. I can send it to them. But that's the thing, right? Because we constantly seeking for something instead of going back to core. What do we truly believe in? What's actually will serve me as a person, then reverse engineer, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing is having these micro vacation, because if you think about it, we typically have anywhere between 40 to 70,000 thoughts in our head every day. And majority of those thoughts from the day before. It's crazy amount of thoughts just bombarding you. And these thoughts are probably not really serving us at all, but because our brain tend to scan for negativity or just pressure, right? Total fight and flight mode. I just how the primitive brain are made of. And we can't even blame anyone for this, right? It's just how evolution took place. But when everybody's saying, work for your passion, then you don't feel like you're working at all. But I'm telling you, you still have to take these vacations to reset your mind and your own energy. Otherwise, you won't last that long in your passion career. Even you pivot into that passion career, if you have all the bad way of how you were living before, how could you continue on that long before you feel like this is not going to work for you? So when we implement these micro vacations and reboot your energy and calm your mind correctly, then you will never have mental fogs, afternoon slumps, or really needing that extra fourth espresso in the afternoon.
Sabrina, how have you used your personal self-development, like Toastmasters, help you in your transitions?
I think there are so many resources for us, and that's great. So things like Toastmaster is an area where people can just practice public speaking, and most time things don't go the way that they want it because communication skill. And Toastmaster really is a place where the membership fee is so minor, right? Very, very reasonable to join. Well, you have different pathways to lead you into a leadership, effective coaching, which is I'm on, and efficiency, productivity. There's many different ways where people can practice the way that they communicate with others. And there's slew of us with a different career path that are in it. So we can actually support each other and build a community that way. And for me, I was in it to compete. So I think that was my competition side came out where I was actually winning on my chapter level, area level, and I was winning at division level as well. So it gave you some other things to do besides the learning aspect. I feel like there are many different things out there that people can leverage on. Having in a place where many different minds with different skills together, what we call a mastermind, is really helpful for growth.
What keeps you grounded that people that are in transition might be able to use and learn from and help them?
Yeah, that's great. There are many tools. One of the simple one I do is like daily visualization to see what could my perfect day look like. I typically do it before I go to bed to imagining what the next day is. So you already predetermine some of your decisions and feel like you truly be some more in control of how you want your day to be. And to keep you grounded really just means you're not get flustered, not pulling off track. And other ways that people can feel grounded is by giving appreciation, gratitude. Now, I really don't believe just writing gratitude journal, and people can also do very different things. But I believe in reviewing these messages and sharing them with others. So you can almost writing these things down to reflect what you truly enjoy as a person. That can potentially help you to build into your next transition, into your next job. But while you're writing these down, you also should set some time. I'll just review them like on Sunday and see everything that have happened to me during the week. So I give myself that affirmation, life is actually good. And so what else can I do and to serve, to make my life meaningful, to make my life more vibrant, to matter in this world?
That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Do you think skills that you use in transition management and finding a new job, do you use any of those skills in other transitions you might be going through in your life, like wellness to sick or married to divorce or working to retirement? Are there skills that are the same in each of those transition management?
I believe so. Even the three steps we talk about today is stay the same no matter where you are and what day of the week it is, because your skills of your mind, that ability to feel like either you transition because it's a gain for you or a loss, that's totally up to you. Yes, perception is reality, but on top of that, when we can build this mental immunity onto the clear motivation, then you're connecting an emotional side with the logical side. And then when you add on to these smaller activities that continue with your energy, then no matter whether you retire, now you have a lot more free time. How do you keep yourself interested and not be bored and still feel like your day have gone by and you live fully? That's important. And just like from a student to a job, huge difference. Instead of living in a bubble of only thing you know is just to study and take a test, now everything you do has a ripple effect or impact. So a stress level has changed, but the way that you deal with stress is still the same. By building these positive intelligence, recognizing what your internal sabotager quicker, so then you don't react to things and you can pivot yourself into a positive state, and then you can make a better judgment on what your next step is.
Sabrina, you do a lot of coaching with women. Are their coaching needs somehow different?
I don't think so. I talk to men and women. I think it's very personal subject, especially people with demanding career who are high achievers and they wanted to be able to show up and accomplish in a certain way. It's just a very personal language, people defining who they are as a person or how they see stress or how they see what it means to be a leader. And that's what I see the differences is. But who you want to be as a person, that's totally on you. And you deserve however you want to paint that picture.
Sabrina, any books or other resources that you'd recommend to someone who's going through a transition?
One thing I really like is actually the book Boundaries. And I guess it's not necessarily in entire transition. It's by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. I believe that when we know how to say yes and how to say no, then we can take better control of our life. And no matter what kind of transition you do, divorce, breakup, or sending your kids to school feeling like you're losing someone, and no matter that is, if you can have a better boundary about your emotion, your decision, then you can live more free.
Sabrina, if our listeners only remember three things as they go through transition, three things that they take away from today's episode, what are those three things that you want them to remember?
Love it. Great. Definitely build your mental immunity. Number 2, gain clear motivation. And number 3, have daily micro vacations.
Sabrina Runbeck, I know that I speak for all of our listeners today. This was a fun, it was a value-packed information, and you have great clarity in terms of how you support people that you work with. And I know that they're getting a great deal of value as well. So thank you so much for joining us today on this episode. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. We're working in unprecedented times as the world responds to the recent COVID-19 crisis. The fact is that even those who are not in transition understand it could be right around the corner, next month, or a year from now. The purpose of these episodes are to give listeners support and the critical tools to adjust with the winds, wherever they come. I'll continue to introduce you to guests who have successfully, perhaps gracefully, or without too many battle scars, survived their own obstacle courses, and can share useful information on how to steady your ship or your world in this uncertainty. If today's message was helpful to you, please share it on social media. If you have any questions or podcast ideas for future conversations, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I appreciate your time you're investing in sharing these important conversations with me, my guests, and others who are going through life transition. Transitions between jobs, life stages, new entrepreneurial ventures, or whatever life brings. Change is constant. The more prepared you are for it, the better and easier the change will occur. Thank you again. This is your host, Bob Gerst. See you at our next episode of People in Transition.